Okay, so we're here looking at some Project Comp footage to kind of give you guys an understanding of how to prepare for your Project Comp. We have a LAM display board here, kind of with some tools and items that it's important to have your pen, kind of ready your animal up, fed, and a good board for the judges to look at. Again, we have another display board at a different site, different gear. We also have some metal stuff because the student has multiple projects, so they're showing off kind of both their market animal as well as their metal SAE, so it's good to have both.
The display board shows the student doing multiple things with their projects. Notice that many of those are not pictures of students at the fair, but instead they're working with their projects before the fair.
All right, so now we're at a different student that just has a swine and ryegrass project. So they kind of have it over in their area. They have their record books out on the table, which is really great so that the judges can look at that. They have their information about Project Comp so that they can look at that. They have, the scrapbook out there to kind of show them some of those pages that they worked on as an officer. All those things kind of play into that presentation. So that's a really good kind of, they have a nice tablecloth around their table. You know, they're really trying to do their best to show it off and make it look really presentable for the judges.
And it's important to remember the judges are only going to go to one project site. So if you have multiple projects, choose the project they can interact with, or that you have the equipment and things to show them and talk about, but make sure that you have plenty of display and information about your other projects as well.
Now we're at another student, that's graduated. She has a pretty extensive project, several projects, so the judges are there for a period of time. This is her rabbit project. She has her animals on display. She has information available in terms of, you know, the books and information that she uses when she's weighing, when she's tagging, when she's Miss Simmons.
This student has prepared a whole presentation for the judges. Essentially, when the judges walked up, she has some notes on her clipboard there of bullet points she knows she's going to talk about to give them the full scope and size of her project. And then at the end of that, she's going to allow them a chance to ask any questions or things they did not cover. But having that presentation prepared shows you know the project and you know what you're doing, and that's what the judges are looking for. Your job is to educate the judges about your project and let them know how much knowledge you have regarding your project. Keep in mind the judges may ask you questions as well. Some of those questions are going to be related to your presentation. Some may be related to your record book. I highly recommend looking at your budget versus your actual income and expenses if you're a more advanced student, and being able to answer questions such as how does your actual income and expense affect your budgeting for the next year. If you have a livestock project, no vaccinations that are common that you give.
Feed, know about your feed, know what's in your feed, why you're feeding it, what the benefits each of those commodities in your feed provide to the animal. Does it give protein? Does it give fat? Does it give other nutrients that the animal needs in order to grow? Do we feed different things at different periods of time in that animal's life in order to get it ready for the fair? How do you prepare for the fair? What are some of the, I guess, steps that you go through to be ready? Do you have to clip your animal? Do you have to fit it? Do you have to practice showmanship? What are those kind of steps that you take to prepare yourself the best you can for the county fair?
And if you don't have a livestock project, there's still preparation that occurs. How do you market that project? What are your plans to sell it? Where do you come up with ideas for your project? Where do you get the equipment for your project? All of those are questions you need to think about and be prepared to answer.
Hair falling out in the back, so I just use this bug killer stuff, and it's just like a powder. And they say that you put this on it and it kills all the bugs, so that's all I use for that usually. And then the toilet paper rolls in their cages are just for them to chew on, and it's supposed to be good for their teeth, and it gives them something to do in there. And I usually take them out once a week or so, each rabbit, and put them in a exercise pen in the backyard so that they can move around a little. And if I need to exercise my market rabbits to either lose weight or things like that, I usually separate them. And I'll put like the bigger ones in a smaller cage, and then if there's one that really needs to lose weight or something, I'll let it run around a little but I usually don't have to do that.
Now we can see that this student has a pretty extensive set of boards set up to show not only one of their projects, but kind of highlight all of them, from the photography to the rabbits to the dairy. But it's great to have those boards. You know, if you really want to spend the extra money, you can do photo collages and stuff through Costco. They do some really nice, and Walmart. You can have those. The great thing about having something like this is something that student was able to use year after year and kind of add to, and really make this display area a real shining kind of showpiece of things that they've done over their career.
This is an advanced student as well, so remember that if you are a first or second year member, a Division I student, that this is something to aspire to and begin to build your displays. And also notice that this student had out all of her awards and prizes that she had won during the years, across the course of the years, so that the judges could see the growth in her project.
We're going to go now to another animal project. Had a cool facility they were able to talk about. I think in this one we really want to emphasize that it's important to have your facilities in order. You want your pens cleaned. You want things put away. You don't want your aisles messy. You want hay swept out of the way, so that when the judges are coming, they're getting kind of a real kind of classed up picture of what your project looks like. I mean, we all realize that pens get dirty and barns get dirty and things get messy and things get out of place, but we're trying to show them what it would look like if you were to come on sale day or show day or something like that, how you would try to address the public in informing them.
Put your best foot forward with project competition. These are people that we may or may not know that are coming out to look at our projects, and we want to show them our best side, because this is potentially another way to market your project.
Right. If you have animals like breeding stock, you want to make sure that you understand the genetics behind them, the breeding behind them, the sire, the dam, what those terms mean. Those are really important things to kind of have mastered information on. If you are gonna give that information, and give it confidently. If you don't know the sire or the dam's name, don't make it up. You should have that information there so that you could refer to it. Maybe one of the students that we already saw, you know, she had a clipboard of kind of things that she could remember to talk about, or what she wanted to hit on in the time that she had allotted. Because a lot of times the judges are only going to have 10, maybe 15 minutes max where they get to talk to you about your project.
And if you have a livestock project and you're at a livestock facility and you have that breeding project as well, make sure you have your market project available, but then also, if at all possible, a sampling of your breeding animals. In this situation, the student was able to bring some breeding animals up and have them in a pen close by. We don't want the judges having to trek out through the middle of the pasture. If at all possible, try to keep those animals close, and that will allow you more time to explain your project.
So make it a fun day. Have a plan. Execute that plan. Don't get started too late on preparing for Project Comp. And those that move on from the local contest, try and take what the judges say and improve upon that for the sectional one, so that you're that much more prepared. You have that much more of a presentation ready. Make sure that you have your summary for your project competition sheet filled out, all your personal information, as well as writing in, you know, the years of your agricultural project, the name of it, the scope, how much income. You're basically pulling that information out of your record book, and we will help you with that if you ask. But you need to have that form. That's kind of like their way of seeing what your project's all about without having to dig through your record book.
The summary for project competition is an overview of all of your projects from previous years and current years. You must also have your record books up to date, because they're going to ask to see your record books. When you're filling out the project summary, the project competition summary form, it's important to know that if you are a freshman or sophomore student, you will write down that you are Division I, and if you are a junior or senior in high school, you are Division II. And then the next group of boxes talks about your previous year's agriculture projects. If you're a first-year student, you won't have any previous SAE projects to put in that box. But if you have been an FFA member or had projects in the past, if you're a sophomore through a senior, you need to complete those for each year, for each project. Scope talks about how many hours you spent with your project, how many head of animals you might have, how many acres you farm. That's the kind of information that they're looking for in the scope box. And then you need to go to your financial statement or your income summary page and determine what your overall income was for the project. When you move down to the current year's agriculture project, information is much the same as it was in the previous year. You have the current year, your description of your project, again, that scope, how many hours, how many head, how many acres, that kind of information goes there. And then what's your current investment? What are your expenses to date with this project? What have you invested already? Many students struggle on those last two questions where it asks you to list ag mechanics jobs completed this year. Anything from repairing fences to specific tasks if you're building a metal project in the shop, anything that is a repair or a replace or a fix can be listed there. And then the last question, what are your plans for future growth and improvement in your SAE projects? Make sure that you talk about where you're at now and where you want to go. I have 12 head of breeding cattle, and by the time I graduate high school, I'd like to have 15. And that also gives you a talking point when you're in doing your presentation and the judges ask, how are you going to get there? You can explain what your plan is for future growth. And if you're planning a career in agriculture, see if you can tie that SAE project into your career plans as well when you're making your presentation.